Hey guys, Ben here, welcome back to another Runescape video. Today I'm going to be talking about a lot of different things. I was watching the RuneFest Livestream and a lot of things that Mod Mark had to say, future updates and just general things like that. I've got Tom here with me.
Hello.
And this is just generally, I've watched it, Tom hasn't. I've kind of filled Tom in it. Tom's just going to be here to kind of talk about the ideas, like kind of like the updates, what he feels about it, that kind of thing. I'm going to try and give as much detail as possible myself. So let's go on to the first thing I'd like to talk about, and that is the new God event that's been announced. And basically this is going to be Armadyl versus Bandos. It's actually quite good, quite detailed this time. This time there's going to be no teleport at the end. A God will die, so either Armadyl or Bandos. So that's going to be pretty cool, but then again, kind of like, yeah, in a sense, bad at the same time. I don't know what my actual thoughts on this are. I think it's pretty cool how they're starting to kind of like maybe tie up loose ends. They're actually going to die, and it's actually RS's community's decision, because he actually said that, you know, this is the year of the player, the year that pretty much you vote for it, you get it. So that's pretty much it. Do you have any thoughts and feelings on that, Tom? Did you do much of the Battle of Lumbridge, or?
I did like the first couple of days I was about it, but carrying on from what Ben said about how the player decides, in a kind of different look at it, it kind of means that the community can't really have a go at Jagex about deciding for them.
Yeah.
They'll just say, oh, well, you guys decided it. It was your choice in the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's the player's decision now, so whatever happens, happens, really. Which I suppose is really good in one respect, but then again, you could say RS is getting older now, because they're actually moved into, is it the third age now?
No,
something like that?
Sixth.
The sixth age. The third age was a long time ago.
Yeah, because it's third age armor. That looks fancy.
Yeah, so going into another thing, I'm going to skip a few of my notes here. Yeah, that's right, I've got notes, and it's actually prepared for the video.
He's prepared for a video, what do you know?
I've actually prepared, not off the top of my head this time. So we're going to skip to it. They're going to be bringing out a new quest, and that's going to be like an Avansie quest. It was a bit harsh. I believe this is going to be RS3, and they're going to go in basically into detail about Avansies, where did they all go. Went into detail about, this obviously is all to change, because there was a lot of concept art there.
It's the backstory of it all.
Yeah, I'm doing a game development course at the moment and talking about concept art, how it could completely change at one point, or the ideas for things could completely change in certain circumstances. So what I mean by this is, it could be completely different in whenever it comes out, say a month's time, because I believe it's a month or a couple of months' time it's coming out. Or it could be exactly the same, but basically apparently you're going to be taking a baby Avansie, or just a child Avansie that's going into its kind of legacy, kind of like growing up kind of thing. Gonna nab that guy's dragon bones there. And more money for me. But it's basically adulthood, and you've got to see how they train, what kind of thing happened, what happened, the backstory, where did they all go. I think the story is at the moment that they're all pretty much dead, apart from the God Wars dungeon, where they're still fighting it out in an endless battle because they've not realised the war's over, in a sense.
If you think about the story behind God Wars dungeon, all of the gods were dormant, and then God Wars dungeon appeared, all of the gods awoke, as well as the minions that were frozen in the ice along with them.
Yeah.
So the only ones left are those within the dungeon.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of lore for you there. But yeah, so that's gonna be pretty interesting to see what they can do with that quest and just general things like that. What else have we got? They've actually announced a kind of like a world, like I'd say God Event 3 already. They had some pretty funny concept art, taking the piss. I think there's some really minor gods, like something like the Cabbage God, and they were taking the piss a bit, and another like Ogre God kind of thing, battling with it.
Ogre God is already Bandos, because he's an ogre himself.
Yeah. I think it was kind of, it looked like an ogre, but it wasn't Bandos. It was a minor god. Hopefully you lore fans out there will know more about this. But basically what they're going to do is the Event 3, as they're calling it at the moment, or just the general one where more gods will appear. What they're going to do is they're going to do something, it's going to be minor. They said they're going to leave an impact on RuneScape forever, and they said it's not going to be something like a stupid massive crater in Lumbridge, but it'll be more or less like a little mini game where you guys can interact and do different things like that and get rewarded accordingly. So that's another cool thing. A new thing they're bringing out, they were going on about a lot about mini. Why the hell is this guy leaving all his bones? It's winding me up. It's getting on my tits. Right. Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Back on it. No. We'll talk about that in a minute. The new high scores. But I've heard something about the prestige system coming out. I'm not entirely sure how true that is, so don't take my word for it. But we're going to go on to a new matchmaking system. Now, when you hear matchmaking, you think Halo, you think Call of Duty, and that's pretty much exactly what they're trying to do, I believe. What they're going to do is, for different mini games, rather than, they said something like, rather than waiting for people or you're getting really bad people on your team, you'll have a matchmaking system, much like a clan system. You'll be able to either have your clan mates. They've not, bearing in mind this is just rough ideas, they've not actually got the foundings for it. This is just like the foundations, like I was saying about the concept art and different concept ideas. Basically what they're going to do is you can choose what friends you can go into, you can search for a game, rather than having to wait for a while, you're pretty much in a game, so you could say Castle Wars, Soul Wars, newer mini games to come out. They were emphasising a lot about revamping a lot of mini games, which I'm happy for. Just hopefully more of the community will play, they'll have specific worlds, and more people will be doing that jazz.
What I'd like to see with this is actually, with the matchmaking system, how actual games go about matchmaking. So instead of just getting friends, it would, instead of being currently how you have to be in the area and on the same world, it would search through all of the different worlds and probably put you into like a you know how like a clan is, it's like a clan camp. It would stick you, it would stick you into a separate world, or
its own little server, dedicated place.
Yeah, so it would collect you out of all of the different worlds, put you all into a separate one, so you can play together, rather than having to wait for people to go onto the world. Or instead of having no one in the world, which, say for like Barbarian Assault, I know Barbarian Assault has died, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
So instead of having no one on one world and people just being scattered about here and there on other worlds, you would have all of them come together to create a party, which I think would be a good way of doing it.
I think they were trying to emphasise the fact that getting into games fast and kind of like joining up from all the worlds, because I've got to admit there is quite a big RS community still, but mostly split onto old school now, so it's like half and half. But the idea that probably there'll be dedicated servers, maybe even specific worlds, different area spaces for that's going to be pretty cool, and people all coming in at once. So if someone wants to do a specific mini game, rather than literally everyone be scattered on different worlds, it'll probably find you a nice little session somewhere else, which is going to be pretty cool, and I can't wait for that. On to something else. Let's talk about the high scores now, because Tom mentioned that. I'm actually really excited for this. They've talked about a seasonal high scores and a regional high scores. First, we'll talk about the seasonal high scores.
The seasonal high scores have already been announced, sort of.
Pretty much, but
so people may already know about that, but
we're going to go through it anyway.
The seasonal high scores are already out, actually.
Are they actually?
I believe.
Oh,
so,
no,
yeah.
they were going on to something. They were saying something about the seasonal high scores for certain things at the moment. So, for example, it was joking around.
Imp kills.
Yeah, it's a certain amount of imp kills or something like that.
That was probably just a test to see how it works.
Exactly, a test to see how it works out. Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to implement it to the whole high scores. There's going to be things like how much wood cutting XP. There'll be. I'm not sure if they're going to stick with these high scores, so that actually be pages of pages, so you'll be renowned. So you could.
They'd renew every week. Every season.
Every month. But what I was thinking of, what they did with the Battle of Lumbridge, I'm sure there's still a high scores up there. I'm not entirely sure, but what I was thinking, what would be cool if they actually logged it. So, for example, you got seasonal high scores. Say, for example, if I got 200 wood cutting XP. No, that's stupid. Say, for example, I got like 30 wood cutting XP. I was first in the world for, say, for example, I don't know, August next year, which will probably be implemented by then. That would then go on to separate high scores where you can click. So I can kind of imagine it in my head. You've got the normal high scores, and you've got like it says seasonal, and you can actually click on what month. So for actual competitors that are actually going for top high scores, it'll actually be, so for that month, so and so. Say, for example, Zima was up for one of them. You've got another month where someone else was. But you can click on them and see who was doing what. That's kind of like my thoughts and feelings on it. I'm not sure if they're actually going to do that, but that'd be pretty cool. But the seasonal high scores in general, they're going to be extremely cool. And they're going to make it so you pretty much know what it is. Basically, you can just try your hardest to get highest. So therefore, you don't have to get any giant milestones like 200 XP, because like I was saying earlier, they pretty much got rid of the idea of the prestige system because they asked the players, and I don't think most people like them.
What I'd like to see with the seasonal high scores, like say you finished top 10 at the end of like the month or the week, I'd like to see a system where it would log that into a system. So, say in a few months' time you remember saying like, oh, I finished so and so that season.
Yeah.
You'd like to go onto a page and it would say you finished. Like, say it would only show like if you finished within the top, 10 or something. It would implement that into like a page, and it would say, oh, I finished so and so that season, and you could show your friends instead of just forgetting.
That's what I was saying. Like, so you could actually click, it was logged, and you can go down the side and you actually click different seasonal things, and you could say, oh, August, I was 1st in the world or 5th in the world, and it's still there forever on the high scores. So you're always going to be that, and hopefully they'll do that. Going on to regional high scores now. This is pretty much as simple as it gets. There's going to be I believe it will be pretty much like the seasonal high scores. It might not be. It might be implemented with it as well, although there might be a separate high scores altogether. So, for example, Suomi, I know is not from the UK. He will have his own little. This isn't going to be the main high scores, but you can click this as an option. So, for example, I'm in the UK. Me and Tom are in the UK. We want to see how high up we are in the UK. Basically, we click on the regional high scores. We click on UK. Type in our names. We come up there. People in the US, if they want to see if they're the highest in the world for the US, they can do so. Wherever they live, basically. What do you think on this, Tom? Do you reckon this is going to be really good? Do you reckon this is going to impact the game in a big way, or more competitive, basically?
Well, I'm going to link this in with the battle log on Battlefield 4, because I just showed Ben the Battlefield 4 battle log, and it has regional high scores for your kill to death, your accuracy, stuff like that. So you can see how, it basically shows a world map, and it shows the top 30 people, whereabouts they are in the world. That is, it's nice to have a look at. So if they implemented something very similar to that, where it shows the world map and it shows whereabouts they're dotted in the world, I think it'll be nice to...
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. If any of you have played Black Ops 2, you remember Black Ops 2, don't you? You've got the whole... You've basically got a world on the main... I
remember Black Ops 2, the most recent that came out.
Yeah. And it's a giant orb, and basically this shows you exactly where people are playing in the map. So as the world spins, you've got, for example, UK, and you can see exactly whereabouts people are. So if someone's playing all the way down south in the UK, you see a dot there, and it all adds up, and it's all nice, really, and that'd be pretty cool to implement. So
yeah, it'd be nice to look at to see where the top players are actually from.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can see which places are better than others to play games.
Although I personally don't remember when I signed up for this game. I don't know if there's anything like where do you live. I'm sure there was something that said where do you live.
I mean, there may be some fine print somewhere that say, look, we can have a look at your IP, because it tracks your IP anyway when you log in, so probably just
I'm sure though. I'm not entirely sure about this. I'm sure when we signed up, it did say. I'm not entirely sure about that though. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. So on to something else. Yes, we've got a lot of stuff. So I personally don't do player imports, but they're actually bringing out a new updated version. They're calling this Player Imports 2.
Original.
I think basically this is just a catchphrase for it. It's going to be exactly the same. They were talking about a new character coming in. So there's one like Meg at the moment. Tom told me about this. I actually did it myself. Shut up, Meg. And basically this is where you can get certain rewards where you do certain things, and it was saying, well, Meg's not enough, we'll add some more, so there's going to be more interactivity with player imports. There's also going to be different things at the moment. You've got Herbalist, haven't you, I believe?
Yeah.
Different things like that.
I've personally got the Herbalist myself, so I only got, out of the 6, I think it's 6 skills that you can get to be able to use player imports, I've only got Herbalist myself, which gives me the ability to find the Herbalist, or at least attract the Herbalist, and give me special voyages. Yeah,
exactly. But there's going to be new special voyages. I didn't exactly get them all, but I did hear there was definitely a cooking one. That kind of stood out for me just because I had 99 cooking. I currently can't do player imports with my certain levels because there are specific ones, aren't there? There's not that many, but they will be bringing out a new range of skills for different tasks and different things like that.
There's prayer, slayer, rune crafting, thieving, fishing, and herb lore. That's all 6 of them currently.
Yep, that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's pretty much all I got to do with player imports. In other news, Zaros is back. There's going to be a brand new quest with that. Zaros is actually returning. I'm not entirely sure if he's already returned already. I don't think he has done, but they're going to make it so he actually gets a body. They actually showed some concept art for it. I will be putting that up in the thumbnail. Might be editing it a bit later just so it looks nicer. So obviously if you've watched this video a bit earlier, you probably see an undetailed version of it. But so basically, they had original ideas for Zaros. They were going to bring him back as a set character, but they thought, nah, you know what? The set character was him. Apparently from the lore, he had been wounded by Zamorak. So he actually had the wounds on his armor, but it looked pretty cool. You've got to see it. Hopefully I'll get that up for you guys. With all that done, they were talking about new ones, and they showed a character. It looked pretty cool, but it basically just looked like a normal player in a sense, but Zaros had possessed the body. There's something along the lines of, if you don't like Zaros, you can put him in a terrible body, but if you like him, you can put him in a beast body, pretty much like a demonic body, you know, kind of thing, like brand new, top of the range, high level body.
Brand new, printed out.
Printed out
like
freshly, yep.
Fresh printed pound notes.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, so you get to choose how he comes back, and that's going to be pretty cool, and apparently that might impact quests in the future. Maybe just specifically for the player, because obviously you choose what body he comes back in, but I like how they're giving more choice to the community, so you actually choose how he comes back, basically.
Like as you said, this is the
year of the player, like we keep going on about, which is I think is pretty cool. Okay, so let me just think. Yeah, you can choose the body to of which Zaros couldn't inhabit. Okay, so we're going to leave the Church of You for now. We're going to go on to old school RS, and they're actually thinking about. So I'm not entirely sure this spawning. I'm going to put a word out there: spawning your own creatures. Okay, keep that for a second. And we're going to go on to white dragons. They're actually bringing out white dragons, or they're thinking about bringing out white dragons. Apparently, a lot of people are helping the old school RS community, or most people call it 07scape, by giving your own concept art, your own ideas, and Jagex are actually listening.
Actually, I'm not sure if you've seen this, Ben, but the new agility, like sort of courses that they're bringing out. Have you seen these?
No, these like new high level ones.
These are ranging from 10 to 90 with each 10, 20, 30, so on.
Yeah.
Basically, each city in RuneScape on old school is getting a sort of course to traverse over the buildings. You know, like on Varrock, you'll go across like the washing lines and so on. It was a player suggestion, and they're actually adopting it.
Yeah.
So they're going to be competitive to the level equivalents to the courses on old school. So they're not going to completely like get rid of the courses, like make it so it's not worth using the courses, but they're definitely going to be competitive XP rates.
Yeah. So basically, what I was on about these white dragons, they're going to be bringing out. It's going to be basically high level dragons. We've got frosts on this, but they don't drop hard. I think kind of the idea for this was that they mentioned crafting. So obviously there's higher crafting material for higher levels, so it's easier for people to level up. There's also a new item in game and a new monster in game. So basically, you know, you get more money from these new items that are coming out, because I can imagine there'll be good ranging gear, extremely good ranging gear. In fact, they said something about level 80, around level 80 crafting. So it's going to be definitely a high ranging gear, and maybe it might be a cheaper equivalent of something else as well, which I think is pretty cool. Do you want to say something?
Something that I would like to say about these white dragons is, with old school, it's people are very tight on what they want to put into old school, as in the community.
I'm going to say something in a minute.
People, they're only deciding on certain things that wouldn't want to break the game. The problem with RS3, so much has been brought out into it that, you know, skills have been made easier, more AFKable, higher XP rates.
Yeah.
With this level 80 gear, it's pumping up the gear. It's going to make old gear not as significant. Like the problem with barrows, it used to be like the best before, but then God Wars came out, which, you know, barrows is still a good armor, but it puts the strength bonus of barrows not as great. So I think with level 80 range gear coming out, that might mess about with Armadyl, drop the price of Armadyl, drop the price of Carol's even further.
Yeah.
With the crafting to make this gear, it might drop the price of hides, say like Black D hide, even further. It'll affect the economy by bringing it out, so people might not be too happy with it.
you've got a point there. I can understand a lot of people that go into old school RS, like the old school feel to it. They don't really like updates to it. But then again, I think someone was talking about this, and I actually took heed of this, that what is it? The actual old school RS that you can access, I believe, if you played back then. What is it called? A specific name?
What's that?
Proper old school RuneScape where it was like kind of 2D. Cause you can still
classic.
play a version. Classic, basically classic RS. They were talking about how classic RS is dead pretty much. You've still got the people that still play it, but it's dead. They were saying that this isn't what was at RuneFest. This is kind of what I've heard, that if they don't add new content, it will eventually die, because it'd be the same thing over and over again. Maybe that's what people love, but then again, people are drawn to new content. If it's the same thing over and over again, it could be repetitive. What they've done is they've got RS3, all this new content. If it's not for you, it's not for you. They've got old school RuneScape, which kind of has the old feel to it, but newer content as well. So may
I quickly touch on the fact that new content that's being implemented into RS3 is sort of having a mirror image onto old school. So, for example, the Dominion Tower.
Oh yeah, they brought out a new mini game there.
They brought out the Nightmare Zone with the rewards, for example, overloads and extreme potions. They weren't around in 07. They came out a bit later.
Yeah.
But they were made as a reward to be just in Nightmare Zone. So they're in the game, but they won't affect the economy at all.
In that sense, because you have to actually earn them from the minigame.
Yeah.
That is actually a really good point, and I love how they're doing that. I think they did that with there's an Armadyl crossbow in there now.
Yeah, exactly.
Different things like that.
Like the Staff of Light, I believe, was being implemented, but I'm not sure if players wanted that in.
I think most things are being voted in. So it honestly, with RS, they're doing it with RS3 as well. They always do it on the polling system, but I think the polling system has a massive impact on old school RS, because once it's done, it's done. There's no getting voted in. I think the Grand Exchange has already been gone and dusted.
Yeah.
That's not being voted in. The old herb, the herb system where you pick up, like, it tells you what it is. Unidentified herbs.
Rhyming.
People preferred that, and it's being run by the community, which is good, and they're bringing out new ideas as well for the community to vote on. So logically, it's going really well at the moment, and I'm really glad they're doing that. You mentioned barrows, which actually reminded me of a bit that I hadn't noted down.
The new level of barrows.
Yes.
You get like a new barrows boss, I believe.
I think something along those lines. They were a bit brief on it, and they said they didn't want to go into much detail. But I believe Mod Mark was talking about different things, like a new barrows kind of like set storyline. They're getting harder. You still got the old barrows minigame, but they're going to implement them onto other things as well. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be a completely new.
I believe it's going to be separate, so higher level players can team up with another 3 players, I believe, and go up against this new barrows boss, which is going to be bigger and harder to take on than barrows. Because if you think about barrows now, it's incredibly easy. I mean, with the new RS3 system, like EOC, you can, personally, I can go an entire run of barrows, use regenerate at the end of it, and I've got my full HP again, and not used any prayer or anything. So it's not incredibly difficult to do an entire run. You're doing it for free and getting runes out of it, as well as any drops, such as the barrows items. So barrows was a big part of the old school community. You got quite a lot of money from getting the barrows items, so it'd be nice to bring something back.
Yeah.
I believe they did say that there would be some new gear coming from the boss as well, at least some new content in the way of items.
Yeah, that's going to be
something to make it worthwhile.
So that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, so pretty much Tom summed that up. He obviously knew more than me from it, but that's pretty cool. So I think we're going to go on to the last but not least. No, I believe it is last completely. No, is it not?
Got the top one and the Church of You.
Oh, of course. Okay.
You skipped over that.
Right, so we're going to leave the new skill that's been announced till last, which probably most of you already know about, but we're going to... Well, Tom didn't know about it, so some of you might not either. So we're going to talk about... the
Church of You.
The Church of You. That's exactly what it's called. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be called that. I think it was more of a joke thing then.
I like the name.
Yeah, the Church of You. It has a nice little bell to it.
Well, it won't be called... Well, it'll probably be called the Church of You, but obviously for individual players it'll be your specific name. For example, the Church of Ben Vader.
Oh, that's exactly it. You've just reminded me of some more as well. So,
and the
yeah.
Church of Cow Fiddler.
Yeah, the Church of Ben Vader. There we go. If you don't know, Tom's name is Cow Fiddler, so there you go. So basically, they're on about, you've got the Legend Guild, you've got different guilds that represent characters, past NPCs, and you go into the lore of the story of how they've saved Gillinor plenty of times, and they're there, and the backstories of that. I'm not entirely sure, and I can't remember. They said they might be going into more detail, bringing out some more quests, for different things like that, going into more detail.
That reminds me, the Church of You could be seen as an enhanced version of the Varrock Museum.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, the second and third floor of the Varrock Museum, you hand in items from quests, and it goes into detail about how they came about.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could see it as a backstory to those, because you tell the curator, curator.
You tell them about what you've done, where you've got the item from, I think,
exactly.
different stories.
So that could be seen as an enhanced version, a more in-depth version of that, specifically tailored around the individual player.
Yeah, so basically they're saying you've done all these quests, you pretty much have saved Gillinor so many times, you've saved the Earth, just different things.
Way
too many times. You had the old classic sheep shearer, which is no longer here.
People just certain NPCs acknowledge that you've done this many times, as in throughout quests.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have a specific place.
So they're going to have a specific place now. It's going to be like basically a guild for you. They said something, maybe possible statues, maybe that would like copy your armor at the time, and different things like this. They were going on about followers as well, so you've got people worshipping you. But they said it's going to be with a twist. There's going to be different people all the time. Now this kind of links in with Miscellanea. If you know what Miscellanea is, you get items, and you basically run a kingdom because you're a king, and they gather resources for you. They said something about different people coming in, so they come in and they say, we're going to do this for you, either free of charge or for a price. You can either help them, or, and he said something about booing them out and laughing at them, because obviously you're basically like a god in that place, because everyone's basically worshipping you, and you basically say what goes. So you've got people following you. They said something along the lines of NPCs possibly following you, so you might have them help you on trips, follow you, worship you, they could heal you and different things like that. That's going to be pretty cool.
What I'd like to say about how you said about the armour changing, what I would like to see is when you complete a quest, it takes a snapshot of the armour that you wore at that time, and have different statues. Either that or have probably have those and a universal statue that has your armour permanently on it, no matter whether you change armour. When you come back another time, it would have changed the armour that you wore as you entered.
Yeah, so
you go away, change your armour, go back, it's swapped over again.
Or it could stay as that piece. You've kind of got, how you've got the system in place at the moment where you look at your profile. You know what I'm about there. You take a picture.
Yeah, adventure log.
So you could go and take a picture, but it'd snap that basically what you're wearing. That's a good idea.
Like it does on Pokemon when you complete the Elite Four.
Oh
it takes a snapshot of the team that you had at the time. So imagine it taking a snapshot of probably the skills you had at the time, or just the armor that you wore at the time. That would be a nice idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So all in all, it's going to be pretty cool, and it's going to be really cool. One thing to add on to what you were saying about different things at those quests at that time, what's good about it is that you could have an underground bit where it's got a cellar and it's got all your achievements. It could have different snapshots of you from shitty armor. Obviously this is going to be for more new players, to basically better armor, and
you can see how you progressed in the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that'd be pretty cool, I think, and something hopefully they might implement in the future. And hopefully, if Jagex ever saw this video, they might take some ideas.
Listen to our ideas.
Yeah, listen to our ideas, Jagex. Hire us, pay us money. But yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. One thing I'd like to touch on as well, which is not written down, they say they're going to start revamping all the bosses that are pretty much forgotten. You've got the mole in Falador that pretty much no one ever goes to. They're talking about revamping old mini-games. They're talking about how they're going to try and make that the main boss for lower levels, younger levels, lower levels, but basically in the sense that...
it's not dead content.
It's not dead content, so people...
So it would revive the content, because currently Mole is basically dead content.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to make it so it's...
Cowfight Queen, that's basically dead content. Not many people go there. I mean, yes, players go there to try out bossing, because back in the day that was quite a difficult boss to get your hands on.
But apparently the Mole is going to be a boss that's going to be there to basically, in a sense... be for lower players to kind of get a sense, because he was talking about how it's actually hard. The new system is quite hard to people get the grasp of. What's that word, Tom? Get the grasp of. and they're going to try and make it so the mole is there to help lower players. So on from that, I believe this is the last thing now, isn't it? The top thing.
Yeah.
So the new skill is called the Inventors skill. I'm not sure if that's going to change at all, but apparently it links in with divination. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to link in with divination, but one good thing is they were on about and they showed some concept art for a weapon called the soul sword, or a weapon that's, you know, basically like a soul weapon. They were going into detail about how you could interact with it after you've created it, and it levels up with you. Go on, Tom.
I'm going to say, with how it links into divination, think about it. You collect memories. How you just said, you interact with the sword. It's a soul sword. You collect memories. You get energy.
Yeah.
I reckon you might infuse it, sort of, instead of making, you know, like the boons to enhance your energies, or creating your like things for divination, for dungeoneering and like different skills. What are they called? Oh, the portents. That's it.
Yeah.
The portents of healing or whatever. Instead of infusing your energy into that or creating farming patches or stuff like that, it could alternatively be used to create this, like the soul weapons, for example.
I can imagine if you're creating weapons as well, it'd probably tie in and link in with things such as smithing, maybe mining, obviously more collector skills and different things like that, creating it. But on more detail, it was talking about how it could possibly, this soul sword could be like a slayer assignment. You have to get certain souls for the sword to feed on. So like it could be a slayer assignment, but a lot dark and more evil. He was trying to go into more detail about how it's, you know, it's more evil and sadistic kind of thing. That's what he was saying. So. So yeah, I definitely think this is going to be really great. Apparently this was supposed to be coming out this year, but they're actually going to make it so it's 2014 now. And when I heard about this, I was like, 2014, that's miles away. No, it's not. It's 2013 now. It's crazy. It's amazing how...
We're in the second to last month.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be out next year, so past Christmas time. I'm not entirely sure. They didn't give an exact date, but...
Christmas.
Yeah, nearly Christmas. But they had like interactivity with different weapons. They said definitely weapons to start off with, and possibly armor to interact with in the future. In which, so for example, if I use my soul sword a certain amount of times, I would then level it up, and it could possibly move on to such things as it adds parts to it, possibly. So you've got your weapon.
Think of it as, you know how you can get like the hybrid armors that you can get.
Yeah.
That you get them and they start off at level 10, but you can change them to level 50 immediately. You can probably get them at a low level. You use it more and it goes up. Sort of like the PK hat and the dueling hat. The more kills you get, the hat gets better. The more kills
that's
you
the thing.
the hat gets
I'm not
better.
sure how the level limit would work on that, but they said something about as well, like skilling weapons. So for example, you could level up your pickaxe, whatever that would be, a soul pickaxe, possibly whether it would link in with normal items on the game already. But definitely that's going to be pretty cool, and I can't wait to see this new skill in place. I'm glad they're actually bringing out quite a few skills. Apparently they've got quite a few ideas for it, and they could talk about it for ages, but they never did. Yeah, sailing skill, but that's pretty much ports, and they always make that running joke because everyone always thought that with the old. Now it's years ago when they thought sailing was coming out, and it was actually summoning. It was before summoning. I'm sure it was. I think it was before summoning.
That was 2008, 2009.
That's crazy, but yeah. Anyway, that's the update, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this long video. Hope you've stayed with us till the end. If you have, please give us a thumbs up. Share this video with everyone you know. It'd be really nice just to get this video out because we've actually spoke about quite a few things, and it'd be cool just for you guys to share the video and help us grow a bit more. So anyway, thumbs up the video if you like the video, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
See you later, guys. Peace out.